Very good evening and welcome to the Ref's Opinion. This is a show that goes out every Monday night at this time, 8 p.m. Irish or UK time. And this is a show where we talk about all things referees and refereeing, be it yellow cards, red cards, players' misbehavior, anything to do with referees and refereeing is discussed on this show. Now, normally I am joined by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL. PGMOL stands for the Professional Games Match Officials Limited. And those are the guys charged with looking after referees in the Premier League and in the Championship in the UK, in England, which is the second tier. The Championship is the second tier of English football after the Premier League. And the man also responsible for introducing goal line technology, which has been a huge success, never any doubt. There's a referee carries a kind of a watch on his left hand, and that will tell him whether the whole of the ball has crossed the line or not. I'll just talk about that more in a minute. But that man who normally joins me is Keith Hackett. Now, unfortunately, Keith can't be with us tonight, much as he would love to have been, and we're going to miss him badly, but thankfully he will be back again next week. Now, just to go back to the goal line technology, which Keith introduced, the referee, particularly in the Premier League now, he has what looks like a watch on his right hand, and that will indicate to him whether the whole of the ball, and I mean the whole of the ball, the outer circumference, the whole of the ball has crossed the line between the uprights and the crossbar. Now, if it hasn't, then play goes on, and many people will say, "Oh, but it's almost 3/4 of the way over." Makes no difference. It's got to be entirely over the line. Reason being, the lines on the field belong to the areas of which they are boundaries, and that's the official term coming out of the IFAB, the International Football Association Board, their rules, as it were, or the laws of the game, as we call them. Now, that line belongs to the field of play. So just to make a comparison, unlike rugby, if a player touches the line with his foot, that he is out of play. In football, or soccer, as some people like to call it, if he touches the line, he is still in play. And just to highlight it even more in that instance, in that if a player is fouled, and I say fouled, not tackled, if a player is fouled on the line that demarcates the penalty area, that is deemed to be inside the penalty area. If it's on the line, that line belongs to the penalty area. As I mentioned earlier, the lines belong to the areas of which they are boundaries. So if it happens on the line in the penalty area, that is a penalty kick. So now I've made out a few notes here to tide us over. And by the way, if you'd like to make a comment and you'd like to ask a question, you can do so. There's a little space on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, certainly on my screen, and you can make a comment there or ask a question, and I'll certainly do my level best to answer it for you. Now, I want to start with a serious issue, and this is the alleged, and I say alleged because it hasn't yet been proven, racism by a Benfica player towards a Real Madrid player in a Champions League qualifying game during the week. You may or may not have seen it. And it was where Vinicius Jr. for Real Madrid ran to the referee, complained to the referee that he had been racially abused by a Benfica player. Now, again, as I say, it is alleged, it hasn't been confirmed, the guy hasn't been convicted, that I'm aware of. Maybe something has happened today that I didn't hear, but I do see things coming through, actually, that the Benfica player has been suspended for one game because of this remark that he is alleged to have made toward Vinicius Jr. But I don't want to get into too much on that. What I want to do is explain the protocol and the procedures as far as that kind of thing and racism is concerned. And it's 3 steps. It happens 3 steps. So a player comes to the referee and he says, I'm being racially abused. The referee immediately crosses his hands like this. He stops the game. He crosses his hands like that. And he goes to the touchline and he says to the match assessor, I want it announced over the PA, the public address system, that I've got an allegation of racism, and you must announce it to the general public that it must stop immediately. That's step 1, and there are 3 steps. 3 steps. Second step is if it happens again, he again crosses his hands. He wants the game stopped. Another announcement is made, but while that is being made, the referee then takes all the teams, the 2 teams, all the players, he takes them off the field of play and into the dressing rooms, and they stay there for 10 minutes while the announcement is being made. Following that 10-minute lapse, then the referee takes the players back onto the field and play continues. If it happens a 3rd time, then the referee abandons the game, takes the players off the field, and the match is abandoned. Now, any time lost during that stoppage in play, any time lost, be it a minute or the second phase, 10 minutes, that must be played in the half in which it is lost. You don't add it all up together and add it on at the end of the game. Any lost time, not only for this issue here, but for ball out of play or whatever happens, even you might have seen the other night or the other day in the Tottenham Hotspur Arsenal game, where the referee's communication system didn't work. You might have seen that. And I think it went on for about 5 minutes until he got the system up and running again. Shouldn't happen. Don't know why it does happen, but that's technology, and things like that do happen. But any time lost is added on in the half in which it is lost. In the half in which it is lost. So the racism thing, once again, 3 phases. The first phase is the player comes and complains to the referee. The referee gives the cross hands at his wrists like that to indicate that a racism complaint has been heard. And he will then have an announcement made over the public address system. Play will then continue. Remember, that time that's lost now must be added on at the end of that half. Play continues on, and then if another racism remark is made, then again the referee stops the play. He goes to the officials at the side of the pitch. He asks them, in fact, he doesn't ask, he tells them, make an announcement. There's been racism here, and I'm taking the players off the field of play for 10 minutes. That's the second one. Takes them off for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, they come back out again, and play continues. Again, that 10 minutes must be added on at the end of that half in which it occurs. And if it happens a 3rd time, then there's no further sanctions. The game is abandoned, and the referee will make his report as to why the game was abandoned. And then it's up to the authorities then to decide on what the next step is. So that one happened during the week. But a couple of other issues. I see a comment coming in already. Thank you, Gav. I'm going to put you up here on the screen. I haven't read it yet. My opinion should have been a 3-step solution of reported first. Game should be halted straight away and abandoned. Perhaps so. You're only giving it 2 steps then, Gav. The international FIFA or the international board that decide these things, and in fact, it was agreed at the Congress. I think it was in 2024 by all 211 nations who are members of FIFA, and that was the protocol they agreed on. It should be a three-phase step as to what to do in the event of racism. And thanks for your comment, Gav. And if you'd like to make a comment, please do. You're watching the Ref's Opinion. Goes out every Monday night, 8 o'clock until 8:30. Normally, I'd have my very good friend and colleague Keith Hackett, but he's not available tonight. So we'll carry on with the show. But please do keep sending in your questions and your comments, and I certainly will read them out. What really gets up my nose now is the amount of yards being stolen by not only a free kick, because they'll get the ball up and they'll sort of give it a twisty thing and it rolls forward, another 5 yards. And particularly, I have to say, at throw-ins, where there's a throw-in, the players are stealing yards all over the place. You know, now they have this system where they have lots of footballs. So the ball goes out of play. They'll run and get the nearest ball. But that is not necessarily where the ball left the field of play. And the law on throw-ins means or says that the ball must re-enter the field of play at the place where it exited. That's not happening. That's not happening at all. And referees are allowing this to happen. It's very bad. It's lazy refereeing. It's just get the game going as quickly as possible, regardless of the yards stolen. But you know, that extra 10 yards, that could make all the difference, particularly with a player who has a long throw-in. That extra 10 yards can give him an extra advantage to get the ball into the penalty area. And that referees should stop that. They should not allow that to happen, but they are allowing it to happen. The same with goal kicks and corner kicks, but not in the same context. In the first one, the players are stealing yards, effectively, and free kicks. But goal kicks, the amount of time it takes the players, or the goalkeeper, or even the guy taking the corner kick, the amount of time it takes them to take that kick. And a lot of this happens, not all the time, but a lot of this happens when the game is nearing the end and maybe a team is leading 1-0. So they're trying to run down the clock, as it were, wasting time. Referees should add on that time. Are they doing it? No, they're not. Why aren't they doing it? Because nobody's doing anything about it. The refereeing authorities, in particular, we're talking about, not particularly this one league, but in England, and we watch a lot of Premier League football, but there's a lot of continental football and international football as well. But certainly in England, there's a lot of time wasting going on there, and the referees are not dealing with it. They should. Why are they not? Because nobody is asking them to do it. Nobody is insisting that they do it. And they're just deliberately wasting time. That should be pulled up. You have noticed in recent times where the goalkeepers, they've been told they cannot hold on to the ball any longer than 8 seconds. And what happens there is the referee will count the first 3 seconds. As soon as the keeper gets the ball, you remember what they used to do? They grab the ball, fall down on the ground, lie over the ball, and wait and wait and wait. And sometimes it was taking up to 20 seconds. One time I counted 22 seconds from the time the goalkeeper collected the ball to the time that he released it back into play. Initially, they used to say, no, 6 seconds is the optimum time. Then they said, no, 8 seconds now. What's the difference? What is the difference? But I've noticed now that they are getting rid of the ball within that 8 seconds. Maybe it drifts over to 9 seconds, but certainly a lot better than 22 seconds. So what happens is the referee watches when the goalkeeper takes control of the ball. He then counts the first 3 seconds to himself, and then he puts his hand up and he counts 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if the keeper hasn't released the ball in that time, he's then penalised. How is he penalised? He's penalised by a corner kick. Now, I can't understand this. How would they give a corner kick? The only time you give a corner kick is when the ball goes out of play. But the ball hasn't gone out of play. The keeper has it in his hands. So therefore, as it's in his hands, it's still in play. Now, just to clarify, if he has the ball in his hands, that's the 8 seconds apply. If he puts it down on the ground, then the 8 seconds are over and they don't apply because he has released the ball. But he can't pick it up again, because if he does, it'll be an indirect free kick. So I'm asking the question, why not give an indirect free kick against the goalkeeper for holding on to the ball for longer than 8 seconds? Why would you give a corner kick? Where does the corner kick come into it? And then which side is it? Well, I suppose the obvious question is which side the goalkeeper is on at that time. It would go to that side or to the far side, depending. But a corner kick for a goalkeeper holding on to the ball for longer than 8 seconds, don't know. Mystery to me. I don't know. You will notice that sometimes the referees are wearing the same color as the goalkeepers. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. In the laws, it does say for players' equipment, I think it's law 4, players' equipment, the two teams must have different colors, fine. The two goalkeepers must also have different colors. And if they clash with the referee, then the referee changes his shirt. So in effect, for a team, two teams on the field for a game of football, there should be 5 colors. The two teams, the two goalkeepers wearing different colors, and I'll tell you why in a moment, and the referee. But I've seen goalkeepers regularly wearing black, same as the referee. How can that be? How is that allowed to happen? Why doesn't the referee check before the game? And the referees generally get to, for Premier League games, they generally get to a game 3 hours before kickoff. I certainly used to get there 3 hours before kickoff because there's a lot to be done. You have to inspect the field, inspect the nets, inspect a lot of things. So they should get there about 3 hours. So there's plenty of time to ask the two team managers, what color are you wearing today? Great. What color is your keepers wearing today? And then you have it all sorted out. And in this instance, and I have witnessed this myself, many of you know that I lived in South Africa for a number of years, and I was a Premier League referee there, and I was head of the referee, and then I was also a match commissioner. And pre-matches in the Premier Soccer League in South Africa, there's a meeting 3 hours before the game starts, where the referees, the match commissioner, and the teams, not necessarily the teams, but the team officials, bring in their colours to show to the referee that there is a clear distinction between the two colours and that there won't be any doubts, one team wearing a dark blue and another team wearing black and so on, that kind of thing. So it's all done. And South Africa do a fantastic job. I have to say that not only because I lived and worked and refereed there, but their whole pre-match get-together is tremendous, and the press are there, and the security there. So that's all checked. How many security are on today? How many ambulances are there? How many medical staff, etc. Absolutely fantastic, where there's absolutely no doubt about it. So why can't that be done elsewhere? I don't know. Two goalkeepers, you might say, both wearing yellow. Oh, what's the problem? Because one's at one end of the pitch and the other's at the other end of the pitch. But it happened recently. It happened recently where the two keepers were wearing exactly the same. Yellow top, yellow shorts, yellow socks. And at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, the team that was losing, I think they were losing 1-0. So the team that was losing 1-0 sent their goalkeeper up to try and maybe head in the ball. So you had two keepers there together wearing yellow. So how does the referee who know, in a split second, who has the right to grab the ball and who doesn't? Because obviously the other guy can't. Only the goalkeeper defending that goal, he's the only one who can hold the ball. So how are they to know? Now it's not that unusual. It's not that unusual, but you see the problems that it causes when the two keepers are wearing the same color. So in your games, please try and make sure, where possible, that the two goalkeepers are wearing different colors, and obviously that the two teams are wearing different colors. And if they have a yellow color, well, okay. I mean, he can just put a white T-shirt on underneath or over his yellow jersey, and that'll distinguish him. Obviously, he can't wear the same color as the team. That's a whole different story. I'm just going to pause here because, Gav, I see you've come back with another comment. I just get it now here. Yeah, you're saying, Gav, an indirect free kick inside the box for me if the keeper is over at 8 seconds. Exactly my thoughts, Gav, as I mentioned earlier. It should be an indirect free kick, like anything, like any other lesser infringement, not for a kicking or anything like that, but generally it's obstruction or dangerous play. Those kind of things are indirect free kick, but it's not a corner kick. I mean, how can you give a corner kick? But we've debated that already. Okay. You may have seen the Liverpool game yesterday, whereby the Liverpool goal that was disallowed. Now, what happened was the ball was kicked in, and there was a bit of a shemuzzle around the penalty area, and the ball was kicked by a Nottingham Forest player trying to clear it away, but it hit off the back of McAllister of Liverpool and went into the net, and they were celebrating a goal. The referee said no, it was a handball. I hope you saw it. If you did, just give me a quick message, and we'll just spend a few minutes on this. In my opinion, the goal should have been allowed. Why? Because the law says, this thing about making the body bigger and your arms are away from your body and so on, that's making the body bigger. And if the ball hits you there, and there was an incident actually in South Africa just this last week where the player's arm was outstretched and the ball hit him, that should have been a penalty. So and I do know that a lot of South African people watching this program. For those of you watching that program, and I've already had phone calls from radio stations and newspapers in South Africa about it, and they sent me the video clip. That should have been a penalty in South Africa. Referee didn't give it. He was about 10, 15, not even 15 yards away from the incident, looking straight at it, but didn't give the penalty. Only he knows why. I don't. But in this instance, the law says if your hands are down by your side, you're not interfering with the ball. Now, the old rule on handball was that if it's the movement of the hand or the arm towards the ball, not the ball towards the hand. That was the old, very, very simple explanation or interpretation of a handball. Very simple interpretation. But now they say, oh, you're sticking your arm out and you're making your body bigger. And oh, my goodness. Oh, gracious. Anyway, that's the way they do it nowadays. In this instance, the ball was kicked by the Nottingham Forest player. The Liverpool player turned his back. The ball hit him on the back. I'm going to try and stand up and show you what happened. Hit him on the back and hit him there. But his arm, this here, was against his body. So therefore, he wasn't making his body bigger. If his hand had been out that way, yes, okay. But it wasn't. his arm was straight down to the elbow, and it hit him half on the back and half on the elbow, and the ball went into the net. Now, if his hands had been down by his side and it hit him on his hands, would you have given a free kick? Not at all, because his hands are by his side. He hasn't controlled the ball. He hasn't propelled the ball forward with the hand or the arm. He hasn't forward, I mean. His arm is by his side. It hits him on the elbow. It hits him on the back. So therefore, he didn't try and make his body bigger. And because of that, that goal should have been allowed. But it wasn't. Another great point for discussion. The amount of pushing and shoving in the penalty area. Oh my goodness. When are referees going to deal with this issue? I mean, it's not even pushing and shoving anymore. It's wrestling. It's absolute blatant wrestling. And they're getting away with it. And yet, a player gets a touch on the back that wouldn't knock over a feather, and the referees are given a free kick out in the middle of the out in the middle of the field. Round the centre circle, anywhere out to the penalty area, touch on the back, players are diving down, deliberately cheating, blatant cheating, and getting away with it, and referees are doing nothing about it. But the pulling and dragging and pushing and wrestling in the penalty area at corner kicks is appalling. Now, it's one of two things when that happens. It's one of two things. It's either a penalty kick to the attacker, or it's a free kick out for the defender. One of two. Nothing else. One of two. It should be one of those penalties, if you like. Penalty to the attacker or a free kick to the defender. Simple. What are they doing? They're wrestling each other to the ground, and nothing has been done about it. I have a solution, and I'd love to hear your opinion. When a free kick is given, say it's 10 yards or 10 meters outside the penalty area, the new ruling there is that the defenders and attackers must be a meter apart until the kick is taken. They must be 1 meter apart until the kick is taken. Why can't they do that with corner kicks as well? Before the corner kick is taken, the players should be a meter apart. After the ball is kicked, then they can go and challenge for the ball. But they're wrestling each other to the ground while the guy is getting the ball down, and the referee can do nothing about it. He goes in, he has a chat, blah, whatever he says, wasting his breath, wasting his time, because as soon as he steps back, they're at it again. So it should either be a penalty kick or a free kick to the defending team. That's the way to solve that. I see Gav has come in with another comment. I thought it was a harsh decision, but the goal that was given on offside and the lad was shocking. Well, yeah, sadly, Gav, yeah. Don Harris, good evening, Don. The shoving in the box is now out of control. Absolutely out of control, Don. And that's what I've been saying. That's what I've just been talking about now. Out of control. One last point to talk about, and I think we nearly talk about this every single week, which is VAR. Now, VAR, there's nothing wrong with VAR. VAR means video assistant referee. Video assistant referee. And that made, by the way, with the emphasis on assist or assistant. It's an assistance to the referee to help him arrive at a decision. But at the end of the day, only the referee can make that decision, regardless of what VAR says, regardless of what the fourth official or the assistant referees, the guys with the flags, the linesmen, as we used to call them, regardless of what and regardless if the referee goes over to the pitch side monitor and has a look at it, he still has the final say. And there's only one referee that I've seen this year in the Premier League, a new guy, I'm sure going to pronounce or mispronounce his name, Farik Hallam, new guy, fantastic referee. Ran over to the, was advised to go to the pitch side monitor, went over, had a look, and he said, no, I'm not interested. I'm sticking by my original decision. 100%. And he was correct. He was correct in the decision. But many referees, particularly guys up the ladder, higher up the ladder in the Premier League, without mentioning any names, some top guys who are refereeing international games, they tend to go with what VAR says. Now, sometimes VAR is correct, but sometimes it's not. And they will still go with it. So my worry is that Premier League referees anywhere tend to be using VAR as a crutch to get them out of a hobble. Instead of doing what we used to do before VAR, before anything else, we made a decision based on our gut feeling of what has happened. And we stuck to that through thick and thin. And that's all you can do, because Law 5 clearly states, and you'll notice that I've renamed the show. The law says, in the ref's opinion, or to give you the actual words, quote unquote, in the opinion of the referee, and that's why I've changed this, the ref's opinion. The opinion, it's only his opinion, and it is subjective. And sometimes he'll get it wrong, but most times he gets it right. And he's only doing what he can see. Yes, VAR is there to help him, but even with VAR, sometimes it's less of a help and more of a hindrance. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I've just had to wing it because Keith wasn't here, but he will be here next week. So I want to thank you all, Don and Gav, for sending in your comments. And for all of you out there listening with other comments, unfortunately, I won't be able to get to them because we have now run out of time. But thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the experience. And until next week, until next week at the same time, 8 o'clock, Monday night, The Ref's Opinion, we will be back. Until then, thank you for watching and good night.